Hey everyone, my name is Carly Dawdell and I manage the partnership team here at ShipBob. I am super excited to introduce a good friend of mine, Nate, who is the senior partner manager at Loop Returns. Today he's going to be speaking about reverse the rush, optimizing returns after peak season. And with that, Nate, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you very much, Carly. So, hey everyone, as Carly said, Nathan Lesbrun's here, senior partner manager here at Loop, and excited to share these tips on optimizing your returns after peak season. So, first and foremost, just want to say shout out to our host today, ShipBob. I've been the partner manager at Loop, overseeing the ShipBob relationship and integration for the last 3 years, which kind of sounds wild when I say it out loud, but it's been incredible working with the organization, and we're big fans of ShipBob over here. So, quick look at our agenda for today. We'll be starting with a quick overview of Loop, and then we're going to dive into a ton of data that we've already collected from Black Friday, Cyber Monday of this year, 2024, and then take a look at how you can optimize your post-peak season returns. So before we get into any of that, I want to start with a question for all of you, and there's some skin in the game here. We actually have an Uber Eats gift card ready to give away for the best answer to this one. But what's the worst gift you've ever received and had to return, or at least tried to return, and maybe you even had to regift it in like a game of White Elephant at Christmas? But drop it in the chat and let me know. And the best answer is going to get an Uber Eats gift card for $50. I'll start though. The worst gift that I've ever received was a Montreal Canadiens hockey jersey because I'm a lifelong Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and so I returned it and exchanged it for a proper jersey in less than like 24 hours, and it was hard to hold that in my closet for 24 hours. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at who Loop is. So Loop's been around since 2017. We were born out of a Shopify Plus agency that built a bespoke returns and exchange management system for a brand called Chubbies. So that was in the early 2010s, and it was actually called Chubbies RMA at the time, just built for them. And that experience became the foundation for our software. They found it incredibly valuable, and they actually helped co-found Loop out of that internal product. And then when we launched in 2017, we launched with 3 brands only, Chubbies, obviously, and then Allbirds and Cotopaxi. So if you fast forward to today, we now work with over 4,000 of Shopify's leading brands, processing the most returns of any app in the Shopify ecosystem. And then basically just like a lot of large numbers, we already work with many of the largest Shopify brands in each vertical. And Shopify is actually a key investor in Loop. We've consulted with them closely on the returns and exchanges APIs that they've built. Part of their investment in us was that we were going to help make returns better for the entire ecosystem in Shopify. But all this is great context to keep in mind as we move to look at the data that we've pulled from this year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because as you can see on the slide there, it's 2 million returns per month. That's a lot of data points, but it's even more during peak season. So it somehow feels like yesterday and last year all at once, but what did happen during Black Friday, Cyber Monday this year? So here's a snapshot of what Loop found, and then comment in the chat if this resonates with what your brand experience as well. But we saw 11.7 million total orders from Loop merchants between November 29th and December 2nd, which is actually almost a 12% increase year over year. We saw about 1.47 billion, or just under 1.5 billion in total value of orders, which was a 15.7 increase year over year. We also saw AOVs go up. AOVs go up to $125, which was an increase, but a smaller one at 3.7%. And if we look at just Black Friday alone, we almost saw 500 million in GMV, so 491.5, which is almost 15% increase from 2023. So that's massive, right? And some vertical specifics, our jewelry merchants saw the biggest growth in volume and GMV year over year with 33% and 39% respectively. And apparel, which is actually by far our largest number of merchants, with like 60% of Loop brands are apparel, was the second highest growth rate with a 19% increase in GMV. So what does all this data mean, right? That's all great, but let's try and put it in the context of what's valuable to you guys. So across the board, brands were seeing an increase in orders and AOV during Black Friday Cyber Monday this year. We also saw that both GMV and AOV grew more year over year for returning shoppers rather than new shoppers. And this is understandable, right? Returning shoppers have more trust with merchants after successful purchase experiences, and they feel more comfortable coming back and spending more on their orders, right? Especially when they use a tool like Loop, they have more confidence that they'll end up with the right item in a great experience, or if they've gifted something, it'll be a great experience for the gift receiver. So this is all great news for merchants, especially the increases in AOVs and year-over-year increases. But an increase in e-commerce orders typically leads to an increase in online returns. So the topic today, return season is coming. So that's right, pat yourself on the back for a successful season, but get ready because returns is upon us. Return season starts at the end of December. I'm Canadian, so we call it Boxing Day, but December 26th. but this continues all the way throughout to the end of January. So as people start to make returns from gifts they received during the holiday season, or just look to make a size exchange. But returns don't need to be scary. I'll cover some strategies today that you're going to implement to help make sure you're ready for the upcoming season. So I'd be remiss if I didn't start with something with ShipBob, but one of the easiest ways you can optimize your returns post-peak season is by connecting your RMS with your 3PL. So if you work with ShipBob, you can connect Loop via our integration that Loop built to automatically create RMAs with all the relevant information that they need at the warehouse to process that return, then keep warehouse operations smooth. You as the brand are alleviated from having to do any of that manual work. It's all automated for you, and it's really a 1 + 1 = 3 benefit. And I'm excited to share that actually that Loop can now support multiple warehouses with our ShipBob integration. So if you use a warehouse in Canada as well as in the US, or Canada, the US, and the UK, you can actually choose which of your ShipBob warehouses receives the RMA based on that destination. So if your return policy says this is going to go a specific destination in Canada, like in their Brampton facility, you can match that destination to that specific warehouse. And this makes sure that the right warehouse receives the info they need for an incoming return, preventing any like wrong warehouses from getting RMAs for packages they're never going to see. Okay, another consideration for optimizing your returns after peak season is evaluating if you're protected against returns fraud. So preventing returns fraud might not sound inherently sexy, but hear me out. The average return rate for online retailers is 17.6%. And the NRF published this last year that every $100 of returned merchandise, $10.40 is lost to returns fraud. So it's a $24 billion problem annually. So what can you do about bad actors? So Loop actually helps recover revenue and protect your bottom line with built-in fraud protection that you can customize. So you can leverage consumer behavior data to automatically tailor returns experience and increase your controls or decrease them where you want to mitigate any policy abuse. So you can offer free shipping to your best customers. You can charge fees for repeat returners within a certain time window, require photo uploads. You can flip like the refund trigger from instant at like scan at the post office to manual, like waiting for your warehouse to QC it based on any like kind of criteria on customer, product, or order that's available in our workflows engine. So at the end of the day, you as the brand, you know your customers best, but you have the power to decide what works best for you, what your risk tolerance is with your customers and your cohorts of customers, while preventing unnecessary loss to returns fraud. Another tool really quickly is to help if you have a brick and mortar store. So you can incentivize your customers to return or exchange their item at the store closest to them. So this is a great way to encourage exchanges and create upsell opportunities and great interactions because customers will walk through your store to complete the return. So they have another great brand experience. You can have the return items restocked to that store or any Shopify location, which is great. And it saves you and your customers on shipping costs, so lowering your overall cost during the holiday season. You can track POS returns in Loop's analytics. So you're still able to see what's exchanged or refunded the same way you would if it was online. And if you're an international brand, you actually also get this available to you in your international brick and mortar stores. So US, Canada, Australia, and UK. So the last thing and the main thing, you should absolutely be optimizing your returns process by encouraging exchanges. It's by far the strongest and most effective outcome for you as a brand. From all these touch points with net new or even returning customers, the goal needs to be to retain the revenue and retain the customer, especially for the second, third, fourth, fifth purchase. You've earned their business. Now you got to keep it. So the example here on the screen is with Aviator Nation, who's a partner of Loop's, showing how when a customer starts a return, they can actually instead choose to exchange and shop Aviator Nation's entire store. They're incentivized to do so with a bonus store credit. So to give you an example of the impact of this feature for Loop brands, Shop Now has driven $28 million in upsell. So the dollar amount above the bonus credit. So in the example you see on the slide, that's the $40. The dollar amount above that $40 that Loop captures for you, the merchant, in the last 12 months. So the $28 million in the last 12 months, that goes directly to merchants' bank accounts. Loop doesn't take a percentage, a cut, nothing. It goes straight into your bank account. We talked about jewelry in the Black Friday Cyber Monday data slide. The average jewelry brand using Loop makes new profit of $3 per return. And they're like 3.5% of all Loop merchants is jewelry, but they make $3 a return in new revenue. So it's really just it's not just for apparel brands anymore, which has typically been a big focus of ours. But you have a vast amount of critical touch points coming up with your brand and new and lifelong customers, and you have the opportunity to wow the crap out of them. That's actually a quote that's been told us by one of our power user merchants, LSKD, which is really powerful. Just checking on time. I think I'm at 5 minutes to go, right, Carly? Yeah, we're good. Okay, and last but not least, just yesterday, Loop announced that we've actually acquired Wonderment. So for those that might not know, Wonderment's a proactive customer experience and advanced tracking platform. Wonderment was built by Shopify veterans with deep knowledge of the Shopify ecosystem, so there's an obvious match there. And some features include tracking pages, proactive alerts, email and SMS, a really robust reporting and analytics structure, and a delivery promise or estimated delivery dates in the checkout. So you can see at the bottom here why merchants love Wonderment, as they typically see like 23x their investment in that software. Also 40% less, like where's my order or where are my Wismo inquiries, which is also a fantastic strategy that we didn't touch on for reducing total customer service tickets during peak season using features like tracking and proactive alerts. But those are really great. The thing I think that staggered me, or the thing that stands out to me, is the 20% lift in same month repeat purchase rates, because the amount of touch points you're going to have around returns and tracking this season, and a 20% lift is just bonkers to me. So, and as a holiday gift for you, we're actually offering all registrants of this Black Friday Cyber Monday Unpacked a special offer. So get Wonderment Premium for free through the end of June if you end up investigating and signing up with Loop's software by the end of return season, which is January 31st. So free Wonderment Premium until the end of June if you end up looking at Loop and deciding you want to pursue signing up with Loop. So you can reach out to me at nathan@loopreturns.com if you have any questions from today's presentation. We also just released our winter benchmark report in 2024 that if you want, you can email me. I'll share that with you as well. But thanks so much. I think there's some time for questions, actually.
Yeah, awesome. Nate, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so we have one question from Rachel, and then we can announce the gift card winner. But it's a really good and important question. It's how does Loop balance the need for a seamless return process with the goal of reducing return rates altogether?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rachel. Thank you. I think there's a lot of ways you can go about reducing return rates entirely. Like you can do a lot of proactive things like using sizing tools. Like we've seen a lot of our referrals out from our merchants at Loop this year go to like Wear and Bold Metrics and these sizing tools because they've been helping reduce the return rates. And I think actually like the apparel return rate category this year with Loop was like 15%, and it's historically been in the 20s. So it's like gone down consistently because brands are using those other tools integrated with Loop. But there's also a lot you can do in the policy set, right? So you can add friction where you want. Like I talked about that customization engine workflows where you can say, hey, like based on this customer criteria, I want to add friction or reduce friction. I think that that's been really successful for a lot of brands in making sure that they're protecting their bottom line. And integrating with your help desk is something that's been massive. So having those questions from returns answered within the help desk has reduced the tickets, but also reduced the amount of returns even initiated, if that makes the most sense. But I'd love to, if you have more questions there, Rachel, or if you think I didn't cover it as accurately as you'd like, I'm happy to follow up over email as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Nate, for answering that. And for our gift card winner, we have Jessica Stoller. So we will reach out. The Loop team will be reaching out to you for that $50 gift card. And again, Nate, thanks so much. I know returns is such a huge pain point for a lot of brands. And going into Q1, I know that's when a lot of products are returned. So again, if you have any questions on Loop or how ShipBob integrates with Loop, please feel free to reach out to me or Nate. I will share our contact information in the chat. And again, Nate, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday season.